Hello, this is the first part of a new series where I summarise my thoughts on the games I've LP'd so that people can see all of my thoughts without having to watch the entire playlist. Then, if they want to see the game in full, they have that option. I'm going to begin at the beginning with my very first completed Let's Play, Dog's Life on PS2. The first thing that you notice about the game is that Jake, the dog you play as, has very heavy controls. This is appropriate if a little frustrating at times, because dogs move in a quite cumbersome way when they are at speed, and often have very wide turning radii. The platforming, however, is designed to compensate for that, with many deep ledges to land on and not many overly precise movements being made, although there are a few. The environments also make sense as areas the dog would explore: a farm, the surrounding countryside, a frigid mountain resort, and the big city. The farm is wide open and inviting, although some later areas have some intimidating parts. The mountain, known as Lake Minnewawa, is cold, dangerous and lonely, and massive in a much scarier way. And the city, while smaller, is full of hazards and a lot of vertical level design, making it seem a lot more daunting and making it feel dangerous, which is essential for the flow of the game, because you are encroaching ever closer up on the villain's lair. The areas have a lot of challenges and minigames and often follow some sort of little story, like investigating his love interest Daisy's disappearance on the farm, picking her trail back up in Lake Minnewawa, and finally tracking her down in the big city. Getting in Jake's way are other dogs. Sometimes they aren't directly in the way, like the Chihuahua on the farm, whose main thing is finding a bone in his house for you that you aren't able to get into, but the Doberman, who acts as a recurring boss fight, is a constant threat. How the game deals with these threats or obstacles is in collecting the previously mentioned bones, as each dog has a set amount, and the more bones you have over them, the easier the minigames and challenges are, because if your bone number is higher than the other dog, you move far faster, and they move far more slowly. The minigames themselves are silly but pretty charming, and have some cool ways of escalating the difficulty, like the P-marking game, which works like a game of squares as you try and take more and more territory by strategically hitting the corners of the shapes and stealing the other dog's already marked corners at times to take multiple shapes at once. There is also the rather simple digging game where you follow a line and dig in the spots that are marked, and the races where you collect dog treats while following a course which often get the most escalation, as some races take place in more treacherous areas or on icy ponds, making controlling your movement a lot harder. The overall sense of humour of the game is quite juvenile, but the target audience is younger, so I can't fault it too much, like Jake's noxious farts being a mild running gag and also weirdly a Chekhov's gun. That's right, Jake has Chekhov's anus. And with certain button combinations that allow you to do tricks, you can also just pull on command, which is fun. The plot is rather simple, but has some surprising layers at times. Daisy has been kidnapped. Find her. The kidnappers, Wayne and Dwayne, are quite simple characters, as is their boss, the cat food mogul Miss Peaches, whose tagline in her commercials is, "Miss Peaches is cat food," getting across how ubiquitous she is. But in a surprising display of effort, you can actually find a full backstory if you hunt down the secret radios in 3 areas of the game. The first one reveals her backstory as a farm girl by giving her the real name of Loretta Chicken Meat, because chicken body part is how all the farm characters are named. Like, there's also a chicken butt and that sort of thing, and chicken foot, that sort of thing, which makes her germophobia a lot more interesting. The second one foreshadows Wayne and Dwayne's change of heart during the credits, as Dwayne calls in talking about wanting to start a dog grooming business. And the final one actually shows that the NPCs in the game aren't as dumb as they seem, because they have not only noticed dogs going missing, but also noticed weird barking sounds coming from Loretta Peach's Chicken Meat's basement. These are due to her master plan, which is to use the stolen dogs, put them through her somewhat gruesome big machine, and turn them into cat food because her hatred of dogs is so rabid it's driven her mad. The build-up to the machine is pretty cool, as you start off dodging the infamous Doberman, as you attempt to collect keys to free the trapped dogs in her yard. And then after you have enough bones and the dogs are freed, you finally fully defeat the Doberman by intimidating it into running away, and then you get a quite tight sequence shutting down the machine, which currently has Daisy in its clutches. After doing so, Miss Peach's comeuppance finally comes in the form of her tagline. She falls into her own machine, initially comically being canned, and then the machine goes backwards, finishing her off as the machine ironically declares, "Miss Peach's is cat food." This is a really fun game that I like quite a lot, and if you want to see the full version, the end card of this video will have a link to the playlist.